was supposed to go a lot better than I thought, but I didn't get enough speed, so that was pathetic. It is snowing. Like, not even a little bit, it's snowing a lot. I love it. This is like my favorite thing is snow. I live on such a nice property too that I'm gonna go explore my property today while it's all snowy. I'll take my car obviously, so I have like a mothership to keep warm in case I get a little cold, because it's minus like 2, which is nothing compared to the rest of Canada. But you know what, it's freezing nonetheless. And today we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna test out the A7 II. Another cool test is that if it's weatherproof or not, which apparently it's dust and water resistant, but not actually waterproof. But we're gonna test it out. If this camera dies, I did it for the vlog. I did it for the YouTube video, the AdSense. But definitely make a good video if it died. But I think it's gonna do good. It's just snow. It's not gonna. Oh, it's getting everywhere though. Let's go do some testing on this camera, see how well it performs. Once it gets a little bit darker out, I will go and do some low light shots for you guys. This camera is not the greatest in low light. I will already warn you ahead of time, camera, but we're gonna see what this camera is capable of and see what kind of shots we can get so I can demonstrate this camera to you guys. So I just started warming up the car. Hopefully it's defrosted enough. Let's go for a rip. Okay, baby? I would hate for this thing to just die on me and nothing happens, so. Oh my god. This is 4x4ing in a Honda Civic Si. And I know from experience that if I take my car down here, I'm definitely gonna get stuck. So I don't know if I should go down there. I'm just gonna go and walk around for you guys because I know I'm gonna get my car stuck if I go down there. I've done that when it's dry, and I've definitely gotten a few vehicles stuck in my life, so. Just put this thing in park, turn the heat on so when I come back it's nice and cozy. I just got new tires too, actually. These are Pirelli P7s and they're all seasons. My car actually looks kind of cool when it's all like snowy, hey? I like hide some of the imperfections on the body lines. So it looks really cool. Let's go for a cruise. Oh my god. I'm gonna drop this camera and then I'm gonna cry. This property's been in my family's for so long, like, I don't know, like 1910 or like 1920 or something like that. I think my grandpa or something bought it for like a few $1,000s, 60 acres out in central Saanich, and yeah, now it's worth a lot more than that, but it's been in my family for so long. It's just such a cool yard, or such a cool property just to rip around. Oh, and I love having a big property because there's so much more you can do. I grew up driving like farm tractors and stuff like that, so when I got my full license, or when I got my license, it was a little bit more easier for me because I've actually had experience with vehicles. Whereas a lot of city people, they don't really get that much experience because they don't get to grow up on a farm with a huge property, right? So it's definitely a luxury that I got to grow up on. And I'm so thankful for it because it's such a sweet thing just to, I mean, look at this. It's not much. This over there used to be a pond, or it is a pond during like the rainy season. it floods and you can you could swim in it if you wanted, but I wouldn't recommend because it's really mucky water and you'd probably get a disease. Holy shit. My camera is soaked right now. I wish I could show you. But I should probably go back to home base because I don't want this camera to die. I want it to go thaw it. Holy shit. I almost broke a leg. Yeah, I don't want this thing to I don't want this thing to die on me anytime soon, so I'm gonna go back to home base, which is my car. It should probably be nice and toasty. And the municipality usually goes home around 5 o'clock or something like that, pretty early. They're not here on the weekends usually. So it's like, I could yell as loud as I want. Like a somebody, fuck you, bitch! And no one will hear me. See how many points I can get. Oh, that's minus points. There's one. Oh, there's two. Oh, minus another point right in my eye. It's 3. 2 for 3. It'd be a great place to commit a murder. They wouldn't hear you scream. Kidding. Where am I? So my mom, before I left, she's like, do you have winter tires on? I was like, no, I got fucking all seasons. I'm fucking set. Got a front wheel drive car. Seems to be doing quite all right in the snow. Oh dear. I'm not stuck yet, Mom. Don't be doubting the Civic. So we should be going up there. I'm gonna walk up there. I'm not taking this car up there. Might be a front wheel drive with all seasons on, but I'm gonna get stuck, guaranteed. And I'm already kind of sliding around. That was supposed to go a lot better than I thought, but I didn't get enough speed, so that was pathetic. Apparently there's been cougar sightings on my property. They've been going over to my neighbors' yards and killing their chickens and goats and whatever they have. So I should be a little more careful. I don't know why I'm walking through the woods here, but it just looks so cool. So I turned up the aperture to f-stop 8 so it doesn't have to autofocus so hard. And I find that doing that though, you lose a lot of light. So if I'm shooting 60 frames per second with a higher f-stop, I'm losing a lot of light. So when I do my B-roll shots, my slow motion, I kind of have to sacrifice the light for the slow motion. And even right now I'm shooting at 60 frames per second, which if I'm just vlogging, I don't know why I don't just shoot in 24. Get a little bit more light in by lowering the shutter speed as well, because the shutter speed, as you know, or if you didn't know, is usually double what your frame rate is. So if I'm shooting 60, I'm right now at shutter speed 125. So that just gives it the most natural motion. But playing around with the camera settings is actually pretty good. Like I said, if you're doing B-roll slow motion shots, you do sacrifice light for the slow motion. But if you're just shooting 24 frames per second and you don't really care about slow motion, it's actually not bad for low light. But we're just gonna warm up for a second because I'm out of breath and really cold. And then we'll go up that hill. So starting to get a little bit darker. So now you can see the grains coming out a little bit because I'm shooting 60 frames per second, like I said, 120 shutter speed, and the f-stop is at 8. So I'm losing quality as the sun goes down, but which is good because then you guys can kind of see how grainy it gets when the sun goes down. So this camera is really good with optimal light. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna shoot this in 24 frames per second just so you can see the difference between me shooting in 60 with the higher shutter speed, and then I'll actually lower the f-stop a bit as well, so you can kind of see the difference from 60 to 24 frames per second settings. All right, so now I'm at 24 frames per second. Shutter speed is at 50, which is basically double my frame rate, and the ISO is set to 1250. And the light, I made it about the right lightness because it is a little bit darker, but the grain has kind of gone away, right? So I could have blown it out a little bit more because I had it on ISO 4000 when I was shooting 60 frames per second. But 24 frames per second, once I raise my aperture, or once I lower my aperture with the f-stop 3.5 and the shutter speed goes down a bit, I'm letting in more light to the camera. So I'm getting more actual natural light versus cranking the ISO, getting that digital lighting effect, which just creates gain, and that's just gross. You want to stay away from gain, obviously. Holy cow, I don't exercise. That was a decent sized hill. That was no fun. But beautiful walk up here. Alright, so now it's getting super dark, so I think it's time to go now. Also, heard a really big branch break back there, so potentially I'm being hunted by the cougar. Hopefully it's a hot female, so I'm okay with that. But if it's a freaking mountain lion, it's nice knowing you guys. Alright guys, so that's today's video. I hope you like the shots I got, and I hope it kind of gives you a good idea if this is a good video camera for you to purchase. I know I want to buy the A7 IIs myself. I know you're probably thinking the same, but it's just so much money, and is this camera good enough for you to do video purposes? And yes, it is if you're in good lighting conditions. Low light conditions, as you saw, I was definitely, I didn't want to push the ISO in my shots too much because I hate grain, so the shots were a little bit darker. So that's basically the max you could have done without getting too much noise in your video, and I really think that was still just so dark. I could have pushed the ISO, it goes up to 25,600 ISO, but then you just have terrible looking footage and it looks very unprofessional. So if you are looking for the low light camera, the A7S II with its S-Log feature as well would definitely be the videography camera for you. But again, it's also at that price. Is it worth it to buy the A7S II, or can you get by with this camera? It really depends if you're like shooting in low light situations all the time, or if it's usually just completely lit environments, right? So think about that. If you can afford the A7S II, like I said, just buy it, whatever. The camera is definitely weather sealed in some sense, because I got so much snow over the camera, like I was actually concerned for a little while. I was like, holy shit, like there's so much water on, like once it melts there's just water all over your camera, and I just gave me kind of a heart attack. I'm like, please, please do not get water damage. And nothing's happened. I'm still shooting on the camera, as you see. So yeah, I don't know. There's lots of things that are good about this camera, and you can definitely use it for video purposes, but there's also a few drawbacks, so you just got to figure out if those drawbacks are going to be stopping you from getting this camera or not. But for the price, I mean, you can't really go wrong if you're looking for a budget video camera. I think this is a really good option, especially because it's full frame. Alright guys, and just like that, that concludes today's video. If you liked the video, hit like. If you didn't, dislike. And subscribe for more content like this. Bell notification, which should be over here, hit that so you can keep up to date on all my latest content, because YouTube doesn't promote YouTubers as well as they used to. And other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Peace.